wanted to record a Sasquatch short, one I call, yeah, it's really crazy. Because it really is crazy. I was going through some pictures and things the other day, cleaning up my desktop, and one of the things, I kept noticing was, and I've got all kinds of pictures that are unpublished of documenting the research of what went on around the house. And one of the prevalent things that happen, and it happens other places around the country, I found out, though I thought I was special, and then I went on a speaking thing and I talked about this, and the guy said, "Oh, that happens where we're at all the time," and then someone else said, "Yeah, it happens over here all the time." So I was like, "Oh, so I'm not so special." But what I kind of fell into or found, at least with the Sasquatch in this area and me, is they like to use a 3-in-1 formation, and they'll do it in the woods. They did it in the woods, and they started doing it at my house, and I saw it as some sort of signature that only I would know, and they were letting me know that it was them, because making this 3-in-1. And what they do, if I had 4 rocks, they'd slide 3 together and leave 1 apart. If I had 5 rocks, they'd put 3 together and 1 apart and get knock the other one off. And I just found what I thought was some real interesting things. Like here, this was at my house, and you can see one evening, this is overnight stuff. Like I'd set this out on my deck, and then when I came back, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, here on the right, you see the 3 peanuts stacked up and one by itself. And kind of crazy, I know. And then this was just a replacement. I always thought this was interesting. I left 2 apples in April and came back and they gave me 2 sticks. Not a very fair trade. I'll come back to the hair here in a second. While I'm here, I also used a bunch of low tech. I knew they were going around the side of my deck here to get to the dog food tub, so I took a hole. You can see here where I didn't have a skirt under here, and all my stuff I jammed under there like a good redneck. And but I roughed the dirt up. I clotted it up, and there were no dogs or anybody went on this side during this time. And you can see here where it was all roughed up all the way down, and as they come around, you see here how they packed it down. And so it's kind of a little proof to me that that's where they were standing, and they packed it flat and low tech but very effective. You can see here, see how they packed it flat, and all of it was like this at first. It took them about 2 weeks to do that. Yeah, there you go. There's a really good, there's where they packed it flat. And there's the tub, and they would reach in and pull the tub over and get dog food out of the tub. And here's the tub. They would put a infant on top of the deck, and he would run around. And here's muddy fingerprints where he had opened the tub up. You can see there when I do the contrast. There's a finger and another finger. That's just another picture of that. And then here's where he put his hand in relationship to the tub. His left hand went here, and his right hand he put there against the siding and the oxidation. And that's showing the 5 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's another one. Now here's a real interesting one. They were very careful about taking food from me. They would take the dog food because they could scoop the dog food out and level it back up, and it was almost like plausible deniability. Plus, I think they may like the dog food better than the candy, but that's another story. But so and actually there were more than just these. There were 5 or 6 7 candy bars and the peanut butter jar. I left it, and then the next morning, you can see here they scooted the 2 candy bars and the peanut jar together and left this Snickers bar by itself. Give me the 3-in-1 pattern, and the other couldn't find a picture, but the other candy bars were thrown off into the yard. I'll come back to that footprint. Here's another thing. I was doing some work on the deck and some stuff, and so it was time to go in, and so I just lined these rocks up on the 25th of June, 2 days later. Actually, this was like a Monday, this was done on the weekend. I had to go to work a couple days later. I come back, and you can see here, number one, it looks like something, there's dirt on the railing from handprints, and you can see here, one rock, 3-in-1, the 3-in-1 pattern. That's 2013. This is when I first started my research, and this was interesting enough. On this 3-in-1 pattern, they brought their own rock. I don't know where this rock came from, but here's how I left it: 3 rocks, and the little bitty rock ended up there. These 3 were pushed together, and this rock just showed up. I've showed that one. Here's the 4, and then here's the 3-in-1 again. Here's shells, and they kind of did the thing, 3-in-1 with the shells. So, that's kind of freaky, but that's kind of the stuff they did. Very low-key communications, almost like they were being watched by someone or something, or some rule set was, no overt communication. But that's what they did, and hundreds of others who've done this type of research have found that out. This was a footprint I found about 3 years ago in the Great Smoky Mountains. It's a big old boy. He was, you can see here, there you go, that big old heel, 2 toes. This was in an area other people had stepped in his print. This was not like a way back in the woods area. It was a little place where a stream ran. We were having fun just swimming and messing around beside the stream. I was just walking around back on the other side from the road and found this. It's crazy. It's right on the road. So you can see the heel, and two of the toes are visible. You can see right here is where somebody stepped across his footprint here and here. Didn't even notice it. Let's see. And then the hair that showed up at my house, that was a big tuft that showed up here after the mom went. There was a bed. I have a bedroom down here at the time I was sleeping downstairs. There's 2 windows right here. I heard a knock, woke me up in the middle of the night, went out, and this big tuft of hair was caught on the holly bushes out in front. And then I was comparing that hair to some black hair I found. These were both samples of Sasquatch hair. This one's from the Great Smoky Mountains. It's black. Of course, that's like a light brown. And then that's just showing the hair in there. Let's see. So other things real quick that I found that I thought were interesting. This was taken. This photograph was taken a couple of years after me and Dave Pilates had recorded vocals from this area. And this he's blending in pretty good. He's leaning over and looking at me through. I was zooming in and out, and he was leaning over looking at me through all this stuff here. And there's the before and after. I wonder if I can get rid of that. No. And there's a good close-up, de-blurred and everything. You see his nostrils, his mouth, and his right eye. He's just leaning over. I'll get to that one in a second, but there we go. Here he is. Here's June 2015. For July 11th, he's there. You can see him clearly. And then July 25th, I went back, same location. See the limb here? And he ain't there. But that would be the closest. You know, I'm often wondered, was that one of the two Sasquatch that were yelling at us? Don't know. And this right here is just a before and after. This was a creepy one, 2015. It was almost dark, and we were walking out. And this was filmed on the back trail. And on May 17th, you can see there's something there. He's there. And on May 3rd, he wasn't there. But there we go. That's zoomed in. It's a close-up there. So there is the gray skinned, real funky looking. You can even see his teeth. I've showed this one before. Look at the nasty teeth. But I found this one. I just thought it was interesting because I knew I had the before and after, and I dug it out so you could see this is not, you know, it's obviously a Sasquatch. And there's a close up of him. He's there. Again, you can see them teeth. Look at that gap between the teeth there. The tooth over there all messed up. His eyes. I have done nothing to this photograph except do the contrast, brightness, de-blurred it, and sharpened it. That's it. I think that's everything from this folder. Yep. So let's see, creepy. Large icons. These are these footprints that the ex got left in Georgia, in Blue Ridge, and her daughter were staying at this cabin, the mother-daughter weekend, and this thing with the freaky long toes, and another one that I always saw. This just still creeps me out. And then this guy right here, let's see. This was just, I used to get these a lot during the day back in the shadows, these glowing white eyes. This is just an example of it. There's something associated with those eyes. You can see it right there. But just, you know, the sun's not shining here. The sun's actually coming this way. It's back in the shadows, and something has two white glowing eyes. Really creepy. So this is a back trail. And of course, you know, the people hooped and hollered, "Oh, it's just Beardolia." But I couldn't find the follow-up, but I went back, and I know it's fuzzy and gruzzy, but I ran it through a few filters, and what really freaked me out was when you took it through the filters. You see the eye and the eye. It's just, ugh. That's a de-blurry filter, and the mouth's open. That's just creepy looking, whatever that is. I always thought that was creepy. And then there's a double footprint from that thing. See the two footprints? It was at the hot tub, and it was standing with its heels together. Isn't that freaky? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look how long those feet are. This is a small Sasquatch that a lot of people, I don't know, some people say it's not a Sasquatch, but it's one of these little people. But the critics were saying it was a squirrel and a raccoon, so I took a picture and just put it side by side just to show how stupid people are, nuts, and they'll say anything, any excuse. It's crazy. And this is one that was all covered in hair. I always thought was really interesting. Completely on the back trail. Oh, there's that, another one of that. Now here is something I tried for a little while. Had a friend of mine, Richard Huckleberry, send me a night scope, and it was and this is the rig, this is the scope, and right there I got to put a camera on it and rigged it where I could have a camera looking in the end of it, and it was the green, it was the green, like a starlight scope. So this is and it was the green field, and one night dogs went crazy, saw movement in the neighbor's backyard, so I went and got this and laid it on the grill that was on, faced that way. The grill was on the back deck, and I started filming, and like you can see, here's what the raw capture looks like. And there's something over here in the neighbor's bush. You can see here, see it? Eyes, the nostrils, the mouth, and the elongated skull. Kind of creepy. There's another, during the video, different still captures. There's another one. You can see it there. Yeah, this video camera and setup wasn't real good, but you know, there's another. Something, by golly, is in that bush, hiding, or actually hiding on the side of it. There's another frame. There's a pretty good frame right there. And there's just another filter. And then I went, the night after, I went and stood in the same place. So this is me in this camera. And this is the thing. You can see how much bigger it is than me. Look at that. Head's about 3 times the size of mine. But yeah, I was working with some pretty sad technology. But I'm at the exact same, it kind of looks like you're in the bush, but you're really on the side of the bush looking around it, or looking through around the side. You can see here, and I'm in the exact, there's that pole right there, or that, and then I'm right there, and it's right there. There's a good one. There it is again. So I thought that was interesting. I finally sent it back because the quality of this thing is just so poor. But you know, at least I got something when they were messing around in the backyard. There's 3 different frames. And then the wet prints. I had gone to the Smokies, and I was the first one in. They on Saturday mornings they closed the loop until 9 o'clock, and at 9 they opened it up, and until then it's only bike riders. And I was just like the first or second guy through, and I cut across Sparks Lane, so there wasn't anybody ahead of me in cars. And I was getting ready to go up Rowan's Creek, and I noticed as I parked and walked down, and I noticed there had been nobody ride, or there wasn't anybody around me, and I noticed these wet footprints. And what had happened is the creek, this is a culvert, and something had come up out of the road, out of the creek, and stepped across. And these are huge footprints. I mean, these are gigantic, and they're straight line footprints too. You'll notice. No people footprints or anything like that. There's 1, 2, and then straight across. and you can see the heel. You can't even see the toes. I think right there is one of the toes. And so my boot's 13 inches and the toe goes way out here. This is 18, 20 inch footprint at least. So like I said, you can see the heel and the ball of the foot, and then that toe, one of the toes, still wet. So like I said, we're probably talking 18, 20 inch footprint. That's a monster. And he had just literally come up out of the creek and crossed over up Rollins Creek. Of course, I didn't see anything once I got up in there. So I just want to do a quick short of some things I'd found when I was cleaning off. I found interesting, and for those people who write me and have, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff going on around their house, and or, you know, ask, you know, yeah, it does happen. As I've said before, it does happen to me, and it's crazy. It's not anything that would make normal sense, but to you it makes sense, and to me all this makes sense. From the 3-in-1s to the low-tech stuff to how I find, you know, footprints in real common areas, to the crazy pictures.